Welcome back, people. Today we're going to talk about three-wheeled cars or three-wheeled motorcycles, specifically my Interceptor Go-4, which you've seen me riding around for many episodes. I've never really dived into why I have it, the advantages of having it, how to get one. I'll explain all of that in this video today, right now. It's made by a company called Westward Industries. They're located in Canada, and they have been making these for the New York Police Department and some other government and probably some private companies that need a specialized vehicle like this in their operations. This one was actually a former New York City meter maid vehicle. This would go around and give parking tickets, and then it got retired and auctioned off, which is where I came in and bought this. You too could own one of these things. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Taking a little look on the inside. Well, there's not much to see, but it's a one-seater with the steering wheel. Little gear selection here. E-brake. Down there we got gas pedal and a brake. The beauty behind having one of these things is that it'll pay for itself. It will pay for itself very quickly because it's considered a motorcycle as a three-wheeled vehicle. Because of that, you'd only need motorcycle insurance to register and everything. What do you mean, Pete? Why motorcycle insurance? Why do I want motorcycle insurance? It's because it's cheap. I have this vehicle insured for $100 per year. $100 per year. And it's essentially a little car. That's the other thing, is why not just have a motorcycle? Well, motorcycles are great. We all love motorcycles and mopeds. But if it's raining, you're getting wet. And if it's cold out, you are freezing your butt off. This vehicle has heat. It's enclosed, windshield wipers. It's basically a mini car that's not registered as such, not insured as such. So basically you are getting a mini car for the expense of a motorcycle. And that's insane. There's nothing in existence that puts you in that scenario, in this gray area market. If it's a motorcycle insurance and it's a three-wheeled motorcycle, do you need a motorcycle license? The answer is no. I mean, it's kind of a gray area because when you connect the dots, it say, well, you do. But look at this thing. You got a steering wheel, automatic, put it in drive, gas pedal, brake pedal, seat belt. Now, are you wearing a motorcycle helmet inside this thing? No, that's an exception to the rule. Since you have a seat belt and you're sitting inside of this thing, you don't wear a helmet. That gets excluded. The same thing applies to the licensing. You do not need a motorcycle license to operate this thing because it's a little car. There's no shifting and there's no balancing. You sit down in this thing and you go. All the benefits of having a motorcycle, all the benefits of having a car, none of the negatives. In New York City, insuring your car, it's gonna be $200, $300 a month. That's a lot of money. If you have this vehicle, $100, one payment, the entire year you're covered. That's pretty good. Got some basic stats on here. We got a fuel gauge, we got speedometer, odometer. There is heat in this thing. Fan blowers here, got a couple little vents. The heat selector, this is a little bit of a unique item. Sort of blends the hot and cold air together. All the way in is cool air, so like whatever air is out in the atmosphere. Pull it out a little bit more, kind of get a mix of hot and cooler air. Pull it all the way out, get all that nice hot air. There's not an internal thermostat. Select your temperature. There's no radio in here. This is just simple. But it works. It always works. The less complicated something is, the less likely it is to break. And this thing was built to be simple and indestructible. All the reasons why it's great is that you could park it anywhere. It's so small and so versatile. You can literally park it anywhere you want. You could actually park it backwards and not be sticking out too far. You could basically fit this in between other parked cars where no one else will park. You'll never not find a spot. I've done some custom touches as well. I did not have functional front headlight system bumper when I got it, so I put in my own. Two little eyes, really giving some character. And I made my own little flatbed in the back here. Originally, this thing came with a cover hump thing it's kind of useless. Obviously, if I wanted to put like a filing cabinet or like a moped on top of this, the original back area just wouldn't allow it. It was just like an odd shaped thing, so I got rid of it. I made this sort of like a custom rear rack. Put mopeds on this thing. We did the little kick scoots on the other video. Super useful, way more useful than the original thing. Another little custom touch. My buddy Scott helped me get this made up. This is a little extra side seat if you want to bring a passenger with you. Not, you know, not for a long time, but if you need to go somewhere with a friend, I don't know, 10 blocks or whatever, it's crammed, but at least you got a spot to put your butt. Without the square pillow, you are sinking into the nothingness. It's not good. So how can you get one? Well, I guess there's a couple ways you can get one. You could get one by finding one on Craigslist, but you could find them for pretty cheap, pretty affordable if you buy it on auction. I did that online on a website called Property Room. They're in charge of the online auctions for these things right now for New York. I bought mine for $700. That being said, you are buying a vehicle that has been decommissioned and put aside for a couple of years. They racked up about 20,000 miles. Around that mark is when the manufacturer, Westward Industries, says at 20,000 miles, you need to start looking at timing belt, water pump, a handful of other little more serious repairs. And when these things are in service, they definitely get serviced. You know, they have the oil changes routinely, everything like that. But when it gets to like the bigger repairs, the town doesn't deal with it. It basically retires the vehicle and then buys more. They never have to deal with serious repairs. But that gets passed down to you. Trust me. If you're going to the auction and you're buying these things for $600, $700, $800, it's gonna come with a little baggage. I spent another probably $1,800 on it. My particular vehicle did not start. The battery was completely dead, inoperational for 2 years. And then of course, what else? I had to get my whole top end redone because the head gasket blew. That repair alone cost $1,300. And we did new timing belt and water pump and a bunch of other things. Plus I did a new alternator. I redid the brakes. We did new rotors and brake pads. I had the front forks rebuilt. Some of these repairs I might have avoided if I had done some more thorough maintenance from the start. But after all that was done, this thing was tip top. Tip top. I don't know if that's as far as you may have to go if you decide to do one of these auctioned vehicles, but you might. You might have to spend some coin on getting it like tip top because, I mean, that's why they let them go. Buyer beware when doing auctioning. However, I am selling mine, so if this is still for sale while you're watching this video, I'll have the link in the description down under. Kind of brings me to why I'm making this video at all. I wanted to make this video before I let it go. There's not a lot of information on these things online. There's like 0 videos. Why not make this video while I still have this thing? I mean, this has been on my menu, my repertoire for small vehicles and odd things for a very long time. It's not my first one. I had my Cushman, I had a mini truck for a second, love them all. But in hindsight, this one was the best one. Another little detail here, all the way to the right. I kind of forget about this stuff even exists, but now I'm remembered. This little section here, governor and lateral thrust indicator. What is this stuff? These were designed to be slow, so they have a governor. And when you hit a certain mile per hour, the vehicle will sort of like slow down and stop on there. I have disabled that. The governor on this Interceptor Go is very easy to modify. They let the buyer decide where they wanted to govern it. So I just went in there and twisted it all the way to max speed. And this thing tops out about 50 miles an hour. Maybe 55, is somewhere up there. I really don't go that fast ever. Definitely keep it under 40. The other thing, the lateral thrust indicator, this is on 3 wheels. So there's always a fear that if you take a hard enough turn, are you gonna like flip the thing? And I guess you could. So they invented the lateral thrust indicator. It's sort of like, if you're familiar with pinball, it's like a tilt. You know, if you go too far in one direction, you like tilt and the game like stops. So this has the same effect. If you get too far tilted, the car will not turn off, but it will stop accelerating if you're hitting the gas, and that will slow you down and you'll balance yourself. And when you do it, because I have done it, this whole little thing lights up and beeps, I think. So it's a safety feature. It has that safety feature. So today I am at the 9th precinct. This is sort of like the conclusion to a story that I haven't told you yet. We had a moped stolen during the day, during business hours, during a test ride, and this happened right under my nose. Some guy came in, seemed like a normal guy, put down his ID and a credit card and said, let me go test ride a bike. Did not come back. And then turns out, looking at that ID, credit card more thoroughly, credit card was expired. His ID was also expired. But oddly enough, it wasn't like a fake ID, it was actually his ID, which led to his arrest in the end, because when we filed a police report, they identified him, as did I, with photos. He was caught a couple weeks later. And ever since then, that moped has been sitting here at the 9th precinct in Manhattan as evidence. Some time has passed. I am now in the little parking lot area where they have things stored for evidence or seizures, perhaps, seized vehicles. But I got my paperwork stamped and sealed, handed over to the police, prove that it's mine. And I'm just gonna wait for the police officer to come back to let me in. Oh man, it definitely got painted all right.
Oh, it was a different color when they stole it?
Yeah, it was this color. Maybe it crashed too. Man, I can't believe this f***ing guy. That's not good. Scotty to the rescue. Pulling up on his sweet Acty van.
Let's get this thing out of here.
Let's get this thing out of here. Voila. Just fits. Thank you, Scotty.
Maiden voyage.
For hip hop? Oh, you mean like maiden voyage, like hauling something?
Hauling stuff. Actually, no, I did one other Tomos. Young lady who couldn't afford a top end rebuild. And she lived nearby. And I had happened to gone on a date with this young lady about 10 years prior.
You really want to talk about this story right now?
10 years prior!
Somebody you previously know, help her out back to where it belongs.
To her dwelling.
Instead of getting it repaired at the shop.
Not my decision. She wanted to have a broken bike. Maybe she just figure out herself.
Put it in the kitchen, you know? Stick it in there, it'll be a little display. Well, thank you, Scott, for helping me out with this.
Oh, you got it.
Great. Fits right back there. Here it is. Whoa, wait. Headlight.
I know.
Hey, this is only the second time I've been videoing in an Acty van. We saw Zach's Acty van, but I mean, look how great this thing looks. Stick shift, steering wheel on the right-hand side. This is not a mirror image like flipped videography. This is on the right-hand side, which is definitely strange, but a standard in Japan, which is where this thing comes from. They can do a whole video on delicacies of importing a van from another country, which both Zach and Scott did. They went through those hoops and
avenues, ducking and diving.
Super convenient. I mean, this thing is like compact, easy to park, can still haul a bunch of stuff, and there's like seats back there. They're folded down right now, but instead of having a moped, you could have a couple more people back there.
That's true. Mopeds or people.
Or people. This classification of trucks is called the K-Class.
K-Class,
K-Class. All of the big brands make these things. Honda.
This is Honda.
Oh, this is a Honda. Acty is the
model.
Mitsubishi has them. Yep. I had a Mitsubishi. Yeah.
I don't know if you have any clips of that you can insert in here.
I just got the Upjet Rally from...
Upjet Rally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have that footage.
The game we were playing was tow the minivan, or the mini truck.
Pulling that with the Hobbit, I believe.
Did with the rope and your moped pulled the truck. Excellent visual. I don't know if a moped can actually tow an entire car, but you can a mini truck.
A mini truck, too.
Yeah, a mini truck, no problem. I think the rule is over 25 years old.
25 years old, you are void of emissions and void of safety standards. There's nothing safe about this thing.
There's nothing safe about it. Our legs are here, you know, little stick shift legs. and then there's the dash, and there's immediately nothing else.
We are the hood.
Yeah, there's no hood of the car. Kneecaps are basically 6 inches from the car in front of us. If there was like a crumble zone,
We are the
crumble zone's our knees.
These are definitely a jaw of life car.
You don't want to be going very fast in these things. These are great like moped use cars. You know, stay in the city, don't go past 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. But highway use, instant death.
If you get into an accident, they can get up there, I think 72 miles an hour. I think there's a YouTube video out there, 0 to 60 in 45 seconds, I believe.
That's not an impressive stat.
No.
Because of the small motor. I guess that's the K-Class. K-Class is under 600 cc's.
660, yeah. And they beefed that up after 1990 from 550.
So the Class is 660 cc's, but they don't have a lot of pickup. They're not like torque machines. 0 to 60 in 45 seconds.
About that, yeah. That's the.
So anyway, mission accomplished. We got this thing back. I don't know what we're gonna do with this thing now. It's looking in awful condition.
I didn't even stop and get a chance.
Oh, it's bad. I had the highest hopes that it'd be just as it left the shop, and the guy just did his crimes.
Yeah.
This guy like stole this bike and then did more crimes with the bike.
What's the story behind
He was driving up to old ladies, grabbing their purses off their shoulders, and driving away. Can you believe that?
That's what they do. I believe it.
Anyway, the whole thing's black, murdered out, just spray painted, raggedy taggedy.
Did he do murders? Did he murder anyone?
No, I don't think so.
Innocent, just innocent
I hope
robbers.
not.
Is that a felony?
Sure. I don't know the scale. I don't know the crime scale. The value of this bike should be upwards of $3,000.
Jesus.
Now it's on sale for OBO.
Over beast.
Or best off.
Or best offer. Right.
Over beast.
Over beast.
This is a brand new hip hop we bought from Tomo.
This is a hip hop we bought from. You bought from.
Just right from the factory. Brand new, 0 miles.
No, you have your own
This
version.
is a brand new. This is a brand new hip hop.
Is this the bike you got? Not Matisse, but
It's right from the factory.
didn't you buy one of these from one of the guys that worked?
No, that was the
another one?
APN. The only hip hop we bought was the green one.
Right. Do you have the story? Do you want to tell the story?
What story?
Of how it got stolen?
I already told this story.
In another episode?
No, earlier when I showed up.
When you came? Oh, all right, leave me out of it. That's fine.
Well, mission successful. We got it back. We're gonna get back. I'm just gonna bring this back to the
home.
Where am I bringing this thing?
Where
am I bringing this thing? Now that I have it back, I am not excited. Now I just have dead luggage. It literally, really, this took months. This was stolen back in September. It only took a couple weeks for them to apprehend him, but I could not get this out of the precinct because of his evidence, and I had to do a photo op, and then
the justice system.
DA letter. If this happened like 2-3 weeks ago, it would have been on a truck down in Florida. Now just dead weight.
It's a giant anchor.
Damn. Could we just bring this to someone to buy it? Who would buy this right now? What is it worth? Is it worth $1,000? And that's all the footage we shot in New York. Now we're down in Florida, setting up the new shop. Very excited to show you, but not just yet. Not ready to reveal, not ready to, I'm just not ready. So there's a whole DIY sort of video I want to come out with explaining how I'm building things. That's coming soon. The sun keeps on moving on me. Just right. This is Pete from Second Stroke Mopeds saying, don't forget about mopeds. We'll see you next week.